But yeah, Matt, cinematography. How did we achieve it? Because I watched this movie, and I don't know when they're in the plane, when they're not in the plane, when the cameras are on the plane. Like, I don't know what's going on. It feels so real, and that's the best compliment I can give it.
And the reason it feels so real is because it is. Everything is real in this movie.
So is Tom Cruise, like, flying the plane?
No. So what they do is basically they have a two-person plane where they have the pilot in the front, but then they have, like, a mirrored cockpit in the back. So they have someone actually flying the plane and actually doing the maneuvers, and then you have the actor in a separate cockpit that doesn't control anything behind them.
So it's like pilot, actor.
Yeah.
But you know Tom Cruise was like, let me fly the
You can
plane.
see the G's.
Let me fly the plane.
Like, when they're climbing, you can see the G's
so
on
they
Tom
basically-
Cruise's face.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
In everything that I've looked up about this, Tom Cruise's whole thing was like, yeah, I've always wanted to make a Top Gun sequel, but I wanted to do it like when the
for real?
technology was ready. And it was. And basically they just put like, I think upwards of 9 cameras, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cameras into the cockpit.
Holy shit.
And they basically
What?
just like, they just...
Where do you put them?
So basically all on the dash. They basically, I'll find a
Where
diagram
do they?
somewhere.
They're not that big though, right?
No, like they basically slim down the models. There's things you can do with like higher end cinema cameras where basically you have like they'll do it a lot for like motion rigs where they'll have like the front, the sensor, the camera like on its own separate plate and then run all the wires and circuitry to a body that's further away. So they can basically take the front of the camera off because you just need the sensor and the shutter recording information
From that location.
Yeah, so you basically have the part that captures the image, and then all of the brains of the camera that like interprets all of that information. Basically, you just like run wires from it. So you have like a big box that has all the camera bodies run to smaller plates that have all the lenses and sensors up.
So
Damn,
they're,
that's crazy.
Thin?
Yeah, so they're thin, but like they're still big. They worked with like naval engineers. Like
Whoa.
they were like, how do we fit like 6 cameras into a cockpit? So they really put those cameras on there. They put cameras on the exteriors of these jets. They also, I've seen a couple clips, they have like a cine plane where they have like an arm with a camera sticking out of like a fighter jet that's flying next to the other fighter jets.
There's the scene,
What?
the craziest shot in this movie, in my opinion, when they're going in for the final like maneuver, and they start moving in to like get into the zone, and there's the ice behind them, and they're all turning in formation perfectly.
Yeah.
That shot could not have been from the ground because the camera moves around with them, and it's so clean.
So basically, anytime you see an actor in a plane or you see a plane itself flying, it's all real. Like the only stuff that's CGI is like the missile fire, planes exploding, the gunfights, like all of that stuff is fake. But all of like the motion and the movement and everything, all of the planes, the actors' faces, the reactions, all of that is completely actors in a plane actually doing the thing, cameras recording. And basically what they did like while they're recording it, since you can't really like have a director giving notes and like, you know, you're flying $1 million planes, they would basically like do a ton of rehearsals, talk about a bunch of stuff. The actors would go up in the planes. They'd record on the cameras. They'd hit the record button. And then they'd just be up there for like 2 hours doing all the scenes that they talked about. And then they'd
come back down.
And then they'd come back down and they'd watch all the footage. And they'd be like, this is good. This is not good. The lighting was bad for this. Because like you can't really control the lighting up there. So like if you fly past a cloud and it's dark, there's nothing you can really do. So they basically just planned everything out ahead of time, sent the actors up and told them, and basically just said, you guys know what to do it. And then I think they did like 2 sessions a day like that. So they would fly, come back down, watch all the footage, and then do another flying session and come back down. And they got like a minute or 2 worth of footage per day doing it that way. But like,
I have another question.
they were like, the footage was so good that like,
yeah, I mean, doing something. I'm sorry.
So you said, sorry, back to the cameras. You said they have like the like little camera plate, and they run the wires. So it's this like big box.
Yeah.
Where would the big box go? In the plane?
yeah, they would be, because it's the back cockpit doesn't need to function like an actual cockpit, so they can hollow it out a little bit. It's a combination of doing that plate technique and also just like modifying bodies to fit into a smaller space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they basically like, so you have like, I've seen pictures of like you have them in the cockpit and basically where like your front view would be, like with the dome of the cockpit, like the pilot in front of you, they basically just put like 5 cameras stacked together, getting different angles on top of each other. So they basically just have like a bunch of cameras in front of them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty wacky, but everything everything's real.
There's something to be said about the realism of using practical effects. And it's, again, a lot of the issue I have with modern blockbusters, especially superhero films, is it's shot in an airplane hangar on a green screen, and you could still make a very successful movie.
I mean, that's how they shot the original Top Gun.
It is. And, like, you can still make a really compelling movie like the original Top Gun doing that, or like some of these other movies. But shooting something on a location with a lot of practical effects, Dune did this to an extent. Which I thought helped the movie and helped the setting. Yeah. The fact you can feel how real it is, and like when they're actually scared in the cockpit, they're probably actually scared in the cockpit.
Even just like from an audience perspective, just like you can tell like when something's a big CGI thing, or something like something practical. It feels more real.
And I mean, when you're watching these actors like in these fighter jets, and you see like gravity like pulling
Tom Cruise,
down.
it does it to him one where you're like, there's no way they could have faked
or like
that.
in that like final the final 30 minutes and doing all these like crazy plane maneuvers. You're just like, holy shit, how did they?
Yeah.
Like I had the same reaction as Miles Teller when that one like. I guess they were Russians, whatever they were.
Yeah.
When the Russian plane did that one thing,
they had a gold and red star,
and Miles Teller was like, "What the fuck?" I was like,
Yeah.
Because
you can tell someone actually flew that.
Yeah.
I thought the most like ball tingling scene in the whole movie was when
That's
they
like the
find.
second time you said that.
It is.
It's accurate.
When they get out of the dogfight with the two, and he's just like wave, and they do the signals, and Miles Teller or Rooster's like, "What does that mean?" He goes, "No idea."
I don't know. And he keeps, like, doing
and he
them.
keeps doing it. He's like, "Never seen that one before." And then they get out of that fight, which is epic.
Yeah.
Like he flies, he drifts over, and gets out of it. And then he's just like, "What is that?" And there's another plane on their nose coming straight at them, and you're like, "Okay, there's no way out of this one." And I knew Hangman was going to come save them, but like the suspense,
you can still feel it.
Yeah, that builds is still so real. Where he's like, "I'm sorry, Goose," and they're climbing, and it's about the missile lock.
Well, and he tells Rooster to eject, and he can't
eject just like Goose. And you didn't see the first movie, but Goose can't eject, and you saw the scene. They showed the scene. He hits the glass and
you can
probably
tell.
breaks his neck.
Yeah, you can. I mean, from what they show you of like flashbacks from the last movie, and just from the way Maverick reacts to Rooster being like, "I can't eject," you can gather like, "Oh, this has happened before."
Yeah,
and didn't go well.
Yeah. My favorite shot in the whole movie still is right before the final battle scene. He's on the deck of the airplane hangar, or the whatever you call it, and they say, "Maverick, it's time." And it's right after he says, "Talk to me, Goose," and then the planes come down on the platform, and it's like over the ocean with a silhouette of the sun. They kind of do a similar shot in the first movie, but it just looks
so
so good.
Just such a good theater experience.
It
Like,
is.
It's